Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a thriller film, Wicked Witches. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a man named Mark sitting in a car and looking at the ring in his hand. He removes it and throws it outside before proceeding to drive. Mark drives through a country road and reaches an isolated town. He stops his car and thinks about a lady who is giving him a tongue massage. Later, Mark goes into a shop and buys a newspaper. Afterward, he gets back in his car and reads the newspaper. We get to see an article mentioning a man who is missing. Mark takes out his phone and calls his friend Ian. He talks to Ian and asks him if he's got any room available. His friend Ian tells him that he's got a room available and tells Mark to come right away. Mark drives to Ian's place and calls out for him, but Ian doesn't reply. Then Mark goes to the backyard and sees him in the distance. As he goes near Ian, Mark hears him mumbling something. Mark goes towards Ian and speaks to him. Suddenly, Ian gets angry and tells him to get off his property. Initially, Mark gets confused and proceeds to tell him that he is Mark, his friend. Immediately, Ian changes his attitude and tells Mark to wait at the house. Mark asks Ian to whom he was talking, but Ian presses him to go wait at the house. Not willing to start an argument, Mark follows his words. In the next scene, Mark again remembers about the woman and his tongue massage. Then Ian shows Mark his room, and Mark puts his things on the bed. Mark walks up to the window and looks outside. While looking outside, he notices some handprints on the glass. So Mark tries to clean it off, but to his surprise, it doesn't come off. Then Mark leaves the room, saying that Ian should get married. Hearing this statement, Ian doesn't speak and just stands awkwardly. Later that night, the two men sit at the dining table and drink. They talk about their past, and Ian starts smoking. Mark asks Ian to give him some, and Ian shares the smoke with him too. Then Ian starts laughing menacingly, and turns up the music. Suddenly, Mark gets high and walks up to a door. Mark tries to open it, but Ian stops him. Ian says that it's private and that only he can go inside. Mark listens to him and moves away. He sees a picture of a three-headed creature put up on the wall. Then Mark staggers his way out and goes up the stairs to his room. The next day, Mark wakes up from his bed and looks out the window. He looks confused and heads out. He walks out into the field and sees a woman standing in front of him. He walks up to her and touches her shoulder. The woman turns around and we get to see that she has black eyes. Suddenly, the woman starts to scream and blood starts pouring out from her mouth. This scares the hormones out of Mark and he screams. Suddenly, Mark wakes up and realizes that it's only a nightmare. In the next scene, Mark is seen driving while listening to the radio. He hears a newsreader saying that many young men have disappeared from the town in the past few years. Mark changes the radio and listens to some music. He arrives at the town and goes into a shop. While purchasing stuff, he accidentally drops a can, and it rolls over to a woman nearby. Mark looks up to her and the woman gives him a basket to carry his stuff. Mark thanks her and proceeds to buy his stuff. From the fridge, he gets a beer and drinks it. While drinking, he notices the woman staring at him. While the two exchange their hormone looks, a friend of Mark calls and ruins the moment. His friend tells him that there's going to be a party the following weekend and invites Mark. Mark accepts his invitation and leaves the shop. He drives off and looks behind. To his shock, he finds the woman staring at him. Later, Mark goes back to Ian's house and looks towards the trees. Then Mark sees a woman standing and gets confused. Ian walks up from behind the woman with an axe and gets down on his knee. Then Ian proceeds to take the woman's hand and kiss her. The mysterious woman then leaves, and Ian looks in the direction of Mark. Mark gets scared after seeing Ian's eyes, which were completely black. Ian stands up and walks back into the forest. Later that night, Mark lies on his bed scared, and he doesn't even sleep the whole night. The next day, instead of leaving the shitty place, Mark decides to walk into the forest. He goes deep inside the forest, and surprisingly, he finds the woman from the shop. They both get closer to each other and exchange a passionate tongue massage. Suddenly, Mark finds the woman chewing his lips, and her hands turn demonic. The woman turns into a demon-like creature and starts chanting some words. Mark wakes up from his bed and realizes that he's had another nightmare. Later during breakfast, she sits at the table and holds a cup of coffee while looking at the forbidden door. Suddenly, he notices maggots coming out from under the door and even finds maggots all over his plate. Mark slowly gets up and walks towards the door. He opens it and goes inside. He finds the door leading to a basement located under the house. Mark wanders further into a passageway and finds another door. He peeps into the door and gets shocked after seeing another person looking back at him. He turns back, and suddenly, Ian yells at him to get out of the basement. Mark leaves the basement, saying that something smells bad behind that door, and even brushes off a maggot off of Ian's shoulder. Later, Mark goes to the town's diner and reads an article in the newspaper about strange noises and weird sinkholes that had opened up in a nearby town. A man sitting next to Mark talks to him and asks him if he knew what's been happening in the town. Mark tells him that he doesn't know and proceeds to ask him about the town. But the man gets up and leaves the diner. Then Mark finishes up his beer and asks for a refill. Mark's friend walks in and joins Mark. The woman gives Mark his drink, and suddenly, the woman's eyes turn black. Mark gets scared, but doesn't let his friend know about the situation. Then his friend proceeds to talk about his self-hormone let go, but Mark's mind wanders off to some other place. Mark starts thinking about all the places he's been to, and his friend does not stop talking. Later that night, Mark wakes up from another nightmare, and sees Ian standing beside his bed. Suddenly Ian starts spouting some bullshit, and Mark gets scared after finding two demon-like women standing in the opposite direction. Immediately, the two women start screaming, and Mark gets scared and starts screaming too. The next day, Mark attends the party and meets all his friends. Later that night, they do drugs together and get high. One of Mark's friends gives the group even more drug pills. After some time, Ian joins them and brings 3 women along with him. The drug lord friend walks up to the woman, but they all leave instantly. This disappoints the drug lord, and he gives Ian some drink. Later they all party, drink, and get high. The time passes, but the stupid party still goes on. Mark doesn't seem to enjoy the party, and he gets more anxious as the women get closer with his friends. Sometime later, the sun comes up, and the women take the men along with them into the forest. Then the group reaches a place and finds sticks tied up, forming some pagan symbols. Mark gets tired of this shit and starts walking away. He gets sick and throws up. The drug lord sees something being cooked in a pot and approaches it. He sees a man's head inside the pot and gets scared. Suddenly, all the women turn into demon-like creatures and start killing all the men. A creature grabs the drug lord and rips out his throat. Another one of the creature rips a man's arm. The creatures begin feeding on the men. A bald man tries to escape and runs away from the place. But soon, Mr. Baldy gets caught, and a creature rips away his head. But I don't understand how he's able to blink with his whole head separated from his body. Mark stays hidden and watches all the men get slaughtered. But soon he gets discovered, and creatures start chasing him. Mark runs as fast as he can to escape the creatures, and some of the creatures give up chasing him. Suddenly, Mark falls into an underground pit and loses consciousness for a while. Sometime later, Mark gets up and uses his phone's flashlight to see around the pit. He finds a passageway and goes into it. Inside the passageway, Mark finds an ancient painting. He goes further into the cave, and it doesn't seem to end. Suddenly, he hears a noise coming from within the cave and stops walking further. Mark walks further into the cave and spots a red-colored light coming from the other end. He reaches a place and finds out the walls of the cave are carved, mentioning something like a ritual. To his shock, Mark finds a severed head, along with many lit candles nearby. As he looks at the walls of the caves, he sees many skulls of all sizes put into the walls. Suddenly, Mark hears a creature screeching and rushes out of the place using his phone's flashlight. He reaches another place within the cave. He trips and falls on the corpses of his dead friends. Then he hears a creature coming towards him. We can see it dragging the corpse of Mark's friend. Mark quickly uses his brain to think for once and hides among the dead bodies of his friends after putting his phone away. Mark tries to stay calm during the entirety of the situation as his life depends on it. The creature comes in and dumps a body on top of the pile and looks at the bodies. Mark successfully manages to act like he's dead. The creature looks at the pile and walks away, thinking that they are all dead. Mark talks to his dead friend, the drug lord. To his surprise, the dead drug lord replies, saying that Mark's not dreaming, and that everything that's been happening is real. The drug lord says that they might be demons or even witches, and goes back to being dead. Then Mark starts to think about all that is happening, and for unknown reasons, his face looks like he's having an orgasm. After quite a long time, Mark gets out of the pile and walks into another passageway. On the way, he hears another creature, dragging a body and feeding on it. Since it's right in front of him, he walks slowly and hides behind a wall. But unfortunately, he's not good at hiding. He makes a sound, and the creature notices his presence. But Mark manages to run out of the cave and reach an end. He finds a door and opens it. Inside the room, he finds a notebook containing details about the creatures. It's revealed that these creatures are actually witches. As he flips the pages, he sees a sketch of himself, and when he turns the next page, he gets horrified after seeing a sketch of his eyes and mouth bleeding. Mark drops the notebook and quickly hides under the bed. After hearing, Ian walks into the room. Later, two of the witches walk into the room, and they have a three-way hormone let-go with Ian. Mark manages to grab a hammer and kill all three of them. Before dying, Ian begs Mark to end his life. It's revealed that Ian was possessed by these witches from the beginning. Later, Mark gets into a car outside and leaves the hellhole for good. But unfortunately, he gets caught by another witch, and the movie ends with him being tied to a bed. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Peace out.